we are hearing Bhagavad Gita. Yesterday we heard there are 5 factors in any worldly, in any action in this world. One is the body, one is the subjective agent, that is doer, that is jiva. Then 5 senses, various activities, and deva, that is Paramatma. Ultimate cause is Paramatma. Without Paramatma willing, nothing can be done. Paramatma gives power to jiva to act, and also existence, and also that we have relative independence. Then jiva, conditioned jiva, is deciding what she wants to do. Then this is carried out by the senses, body, and in activities. But that is not directly done by jiva, as I told on that day. Like excavator, driver is sitting there and he's moving the joystick and pressing buttons, then that excavator is digging a hole. So jiva has no direct connection with that earth, and also this work of excavating is not done by the jiva directly. That is why previously in Krishna told to Arjuna, if one thinks that he is doing those things which are done by Prakriti, he is in false ego. Why? Because he identifies himself with the body, and those activities which are done by the body, he thinks, I am doing, I am doer. But it is not directly we are doing. But of course, body cannot do anything without Atma. But each has his own function and responsibility. But ultimately, Deva, that is Paramatma, is the cause of everything. That is the most indispensable factor. Man proposes, God disposes. Or in Bangla, Apo nicha jeeb koti bancha kore. Krishna icha hoile tobe to phol dhore. Jiva may have so many desires, millions of desires, but unless Krishna fulfills, it will not happen, cannot happen. And you cannot get the fruit of your action. So, as I told you yesterday, if we think, when we are in false ego, we have many misconceptions. This I am doing, or I am not doing anything. That is also one kind of false ego. Those who are in reality, who are enlightened, who see things as they are, they see 5 these factors, or 5 causes of action in this world. In transcendental world, they are not there. Sense this, there is only Atma, soul, in her own Swarup, eternal spiritual form, and Paramatma, but there he is in the form of Krishna, not as Paramatma, as Krishna, or Ramchandra, or whichever Lila Jiva is joining. That is only transcendental only, there is no matter there. And Jiva is also acting there by the power of Swarup Shakti, internal potency. Like here, Jiva is acting with the help of Maya Shakti. There, Jiva is acting with the help of Swarup Shakti. Shariravan manobhiryat karma prarabhate naraha nyayam va viparitam va panchaitetasya hetavaha. Whatever a man does with his body, word and mind, whether it be right or wrong, the above five are its causes. Always these five are there. But most powerful is Paramatma. Important. So Krishna told to Arjuna, Karma nividikaraste mapaleshu kadachana. You have right to do action, adhikar, or qualification, but cannot get the fruit by your own. Fruit is given by Krishna. So Jiva may do wrong and or good actions. That is why we should not hate the person because he belongs to Krishna and Krishna is residing in him. We should not hate any person, but we can hate or don't like or don't support or condemn wrong actions. That is different, two things. Jesus also said, hate the sin, not the sinner. That is why those who are pure devotees, they can give due respect to all, value to all, seeing Krishna inside them. But at the same time, they are not supporting wrong actions. And in that way, they are not committing any offense. But if we hate the person and not giving due respect, then it will be a kind of offense which will not allow us to chant Harinam. Actual Harinam means pure Harinam. So even when devotee condemns or does not support or says this is wrong, this is right, he does not do that out of any grudge, out of any malice or anger or like this. No, it is purely out of compassion for that jiva and also for the sake of other jivas so that they get proper teaching, that they are not misled. But he's not doing out of grudge. That is the difference. So he's not committing offense. That is why to discipline others, that is reserved for bona fide guru who has love for all jivas. If I am disturbed by someone because of my unfulfilled some selfish desires, or I'm blaming others for my own suffering, like this, so I try to correct others or change others forcefully and with that grudge and like this, it will be offense and that will block our bhakti. But if some real devotee who has love for all outwardly may seem like same thing, he will chastise, he will correct, he will say what is wrong, but he will not commit offense because his motive is different and his impetus is different. Why I'm angry on that person and why I want to change him, or why Guru wants to help that person to correct himself. Motive is different. And result also is different, although action outwardly may seem same. That is why Narad Goswami, you will see, Narad Goswami sometimes becomes very angry, but that is not out of lust. It is out of compassion for the jiva. He can curse also, Narad. Nityananda Prabhu also sometimes very angry, but it is all for the good of that jiva, for eternal good. Ultimately, they are getting benefited. But if I, due to unfulfilled lust, am angry on someone with malice, then that will be totally different thing that will lead me to hell. But that type of anger of pure devotees who are engaging it for the eternal welfare of all, that will give devotion. Traivam sati kartaram atmanam kevalam tuyaha pashyati akrita bhuditvan nasa pashyati durmatihi. Such being the case, the evil intentioned person who, out of uncultured intelligence, considers his own self to be the only subjective agent, is blind and ignorant. Explanation. He who thinks his own self as the only subjective agent of all actions possesses uncultured, vain intellect, and hence he is evil intentioned, ignorant, and blind. That is why I told before, if one thinks I am doing everything, I am independent, that is false ego. But if someone thinks I am not doing anything and I cannot do anything, that is also false ego. If I think I can do anything without the imparted power from Supreme Lord, that is false ego. But at the same time, we are responsible beings, being living entities. By the desire of Krishna, we are like that. That we are conscious beings, we have relative independence, so we have some responsibility. And we have to do something. Otherwise, all these scriptural injunctions and all useless. For whom that would be? Do this, don't do this. If you do this, then this result will come. That result, for whom? It would be totally useless. Or if Krishna would just like control us like dead dolls, wooden dolls, then no meaning of scripture. And if we are rescued just like some like this, no, we have to do that which Krishna advises. Like doctor and patient. Patient does not know his disease and does not know what is the medicine. So he needs the help of experienced doctor. But when doctor will give medicine, that patient has to take. That is his part. If he does not do this part, then only doctor cannot do. But if some patient is arrogant, no, I know everything, I don't need any doctor, then that will also not work. So we have our part to do, Sharanagati and devotional service, we have to do, but for that we need the grace and help of Sru Shakti, that is pure devotees. Yasya naham krito bhavo buddhiryasya nalipyate hatva pisa iman lokan nahantina nibadhyate. He who has no spirit of egotism and whose mind has no attachment for the fruits of actions does not kill anybody, although he kills all, and is not bound by his actions. Explanation. O Arjuna, the delusion with which you were engrossed at the beginning of the fight was due to your subjective egotism, means ahankara, false ego. Had you been aware of these 5 causes, the source of all actions, you would not have been deluded. Hence, he whose intellect is not polluted by the mire of egotism does not kill anybody, although he kills everybody, and does not reap the consequences of the act of killing, because he has no intention of either killing or saving. This is very difficult to understand for conditioned souls in ignorance. Very difficult. How one action is done out of false ego, but there is another plane when one is above false ego, he is in real ego, and he does everything for the satisfaction of Krishna. And although activities of that person and of this person who is in ego outwardly look the same, one person will kill, that person will kill, but it is totally different action, totally different, and the result is also totally different. One is in ignorance, one is in pure knowledge, and he's doing for the eternal welfare of all, and he is doing out of false ego for selfish something, and he will have to reap that bad fruit, suffering. But this is very difficult to understand how it is unless we get experience of that real ego. Like that, it is very difficult to understand what is the difference between material lust between man and woman, and what is the lila of Radha Krishna or Krishna with the gopis. Outwardly looks same, but it is totally different. Because this is in ignorance with false ego, and self-interest is there. Surely there is some self-interest is there, although outwardly they may also do something to satisfy another, but some self-interest is there, and that is eventually also revealed. When that interest is not fulfilled, then immediately so-called love will stop. Immediately. And then hate will start. Because of that selfish interest present, and that is inevitable for every jiva who is conditioned. When we want to enjoy Maya, we get false ego. When we have false ego, automatically self-interest is there. You cannot detach one from another. Sarup Brahm brings, that misconception of self, brings asa trishna, desire for non-eternal, and hrid daurbalya, weakness of heart and apparat. But the root cause is this, self. So when one man thinks I'm man, some woman thinks I'm woman, immediately the self-interest is there. You cannot avoid it. Impossible. It is there, and it will be shown in due time. When it will not be fulfilled, then all that love will stop, so-called, and hate will come. But when one jiva is in real knowledge of his real self and has no false ego, then that jiva is doing for the satisfaction of Krishna, and that jiva sees herself, who she is, who is Krishna, and also who are all other jivas. They are also souls coming out of Krishna, and they belong to Krishna as his eternal servants. So there can be no exploitation between one liberated soul, realized soul, and another jiva. It is impossible. Cannot exploit and cannot renounce. So, but there are sahajas and like this. They mistake one for the other. What is this material thing And what is transcendental spiritual thing? One is love, one is lust. Outwardly looks same, but motive is different. And one is in knowledge, one is in ignorance. So you cannot mistake one for another, but some do mistake. And in Bhagavatam, evidence is there. If one with proper devotion and from proper source, realized soul, who knows that that is transcendental and what that means, what is actual love. All the gopis, they want really to serve Krishna, and Krishna wants to serve them without any self-interest, and in full knowledge, and on transcendental platform. One who knows this, if he speaks that to a qualified devotee, then that hearing will give devotion to Krishna and it will destroy karma. If that Ras Lila and these things, that Lila, would be same as worldly karma, then hearing that would increase karma or support. But if it destroys it, it means it is not the same. And Shukadev Goswami, he was transcendentally situated, not in false ego. So when he was passing by some lake where some girls were naked taking bath, when they saw Shukadev Goswami, they felt no need of covering their bodies or feeling shy or anything. They did not feel this, because there was no any lust in him, no any man-woman conception. It was totally absent. It was not there. So they did not feel any need. Naturally, they would, if some with that ego comes, then they would feel such need. But here in Shukadev Goswami's case, they did not need, because he was transcendentally situated. So how is it that although Shukadev Goswami was transcendentally situated on that Brahman platform and had no woman-man conception, how is it that he was attracted to Krishna Lila? If that would be some worldly thing, same thing, he would never be attracted, but he was attracted, because that is transcendental Lila. It is different category than what is going on here. So this distinction must be known not only theoretically. Some, they don't even understand theoretically. But theoretically we have to, but also we have to get some experience. What is the difference between service and exploitation? That we can get that experience if we follow the instructions of bona fide guru for the service of Krishna. If we do service, then we can get some experience. Then we can understand what is the difference, and we will not mistake one for another or think by the help of one we can get another. It is impossible. They are like sun and darkness. They cannot stay together at the same time. Ignorance and knowledge cannot stay in the same time. With the help of ignorance, you cannot get knowledge. With the help of darkness, you cannot get light. Impossible. With the help of light, you can remove darkness. So that has to be very clearly understood by hearing from bona fide, realized soul, who is actually engaged in the service of Krishna, and he conquered all lust, anger, all these things. Then he can speak, and he will speak to qualified disciples, those who are qualified. Otherwise, he will speak according to eligibility to engage us for gradual, that we will give up all anarthas and engage ourselves in the service of Krishna. So here Krishna is telling there is such a plane of being above false ego when whatever that person does, it will not bind him to any material fruit, although outwardly looks like it is. But it is not. Outwardly, Rasa Lila looks like man-woman relationship, but it is totally not. And with the help of man-woman relationship in false ego, in this world, with the help of this, you can never realize or get what is transcendental love. Can never get. Impossible. That is Sahajiaism misconception. There is a procedure how one can attain that divine transcendental love given by realized acharyas like Rupa Goswami, and so those we have to follow gradual procedure, not be misled by some sahajiyas that will increase our lust instead of remove it in the name of something else. So that we have to be careful. That is why when gopis, they were crossing the Jamuna in order to get passage, Durvasa told them, or someone, that, or I can read because it is very important point. 1 second. But the thing is, we can hear, but we have to follow bona fide guru who will engage us in the service of Krishna. Then we can get experience, practical experience, what is the difference, so that we will not mistake one for another. And we may have anarthas, that is there, but we will recognize them as anarthas. We will not consider that the same as something else which is not. One second. It is from Gurudeva's book Puranik Charitavali. One pastime is there in Gopal Tapani Upanishad. The gopis of Vrindavan asked Shri Krishna to which Brahmana they should offer food so that their wishes would be fulfilled. Shri Krishna told them that offering food to sage Durvasa would fulfill their desires. Then the resident woman of Braja, means Gopi, said, "O Lord, how shall we cross the Jamuna river?" Shri Krishna told them, "If you go to the banks of the Jamuna and tell Jamuna that Shri Krishna is a brahmachari, then Jamuna will pave the way." Krishna is Nitya Brahmachari. The gopis, in order to give us the teaching, the gopis replied, "O Gopinath, you enjoy so many pastimes with the cowherd damsels, so how are you a celibate? You are brahmachari. How?" Shri Krishna said, "There is no reason to doubt it. Just by remembering me, an impure person becomes pure, and who is not strict in rituals becomes strict, and a sense enjoyer becomes a renunciant. Now, if by remembering me, the water of that overflowing river retreats, what is so strange about it?" Therefore, the gopis went to Jamuna with complete faith in the words of Shri Krishna and spoke thusly, "Krishna is a strict brahmachari." Upon hearing these words, and as promised by Krishna, Jamuna parted her waters and allowed the gopis to cross. Upon reaching Durvasa Muni's ashram, the gopis, after offering him their due respects, presented him with all these sumptuous foodstuffs they had brought with them. They served him with sweet rice cooked in milk, that is kheer, and rice cooked in clarified butter, gritanno, among other dishes, and thus satisfied his hunger. After eating the food, sage Durvasa gave them permission to go home. The gopis then said, "O sage, how shall we cross Jamuna?" The sage replied, "I live eating on only sacred Durva grass, one tender grass. Therefore, by remembrance of me, the daughter of the demigod of the sun, Jamuna will surely give you passage." And in some editions it is, "You say to Jamuna that Durvasa does not eat." He does not eat at all, you say. So then, again, when they heard what Durvasa said, their leader, Srimati Radharani or Gandharvi, asked their sage, "Please explain to us how Krishna is a brahmachari and how, after eating so much food, you are calling yourself an eater of only sacred Durva grass, that is like same as not eating." To this question of the main gopi, that is Radharani, we will hear about her day after tomorrow on her appearance day, Durvasa Muni replied, "Krishna resides in all 5 of the basic elements of nature, earth, water, fire, air, and space, and in all material sense objects. Besides this, Shri Krishna is a non-doer under all circumstances, so therefore he is a non-enjoyer, a brahmachari. Krishna in his form as Paramatma is the witness of everything." With these words of wisdom, sage Durvasa expressed the nature and non-enjoying aspect of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. So that is different. That is Krishna's identity, and what he's doing is totally different than one conditioned soul is doing. That is transcendental activity. So he's not enjoying anything as conditioned souls try to. So he can be called as a brahmachari, as a celibate, because he's not doing these material activities. And those activities which he's doing with the gopis, they are not enjoyment thing. Never. Totally different. And when some jiva is enjoying with another jiva in ignorance of real identity, they are not in their swarup. They think I'm man, he thinks I'm woman. Whatever they do, even if outwardly so-called love, like to please other, because of that ignorance of identity, there is some self-interest. And that will be exposed in due course of time. So that is totally not different, not same as what Krishna is doing with the gopis. But if we mistake one for another, then we become sahaja. Or if we try with this process of enjoyment to attain the service, it can never happen. So Durvasa said this. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has explained as follows why Durvasa proclaimed himself as the eater of sacred Durva grass after eating so much food. Durvasinam Durvasa Samunir Atmaramam Ityartham. This means that sage Durvasa is situated in complete self-realization, like here Krishna is telling in Gita, without false ego. No ahankar is there. He's in self-realization. Therefore, either eating some material food or not eating at all is entirely the same thing to him. He can eat an enormous quantity of food, but can just as easily live for many days without eating anything whatsoever. He does not have any hankering for or attachment to anything material. But again, we cannot understand this point, which Krishna is telling here in Arjuna, or what the Gopi, what we got teaching here. Krishna is brahmachari, Durvasa does not eat. It is impossible to practically understand the difference unless we are properly trained in devotional service to Krishna by bona fide Guru and get that experience of action from real ego as different from action from false ego. Then we can understand. Otherwise, we will be confused. Those who are not properly trained practically, like conditioned souls, they are unable to understand. Therefore, it is strictly prohibited for someone to speak Rasa Lila topic in public. Totally prohibited. Because it will not be beneficial, because those people who don't have belief in Krishna as supreme and only enjoyer, and we all are to be enjoyed by him, and they are not properly trained in devotional service, they will think that is man-woman relation, as they have experienced here. And so many apasampradayas came because of that. Unauthorized things, claiming we are following Mahaprabhu, but doing wrong, doing from false ego, not doing from real ego. And so many of these apasampradayas came. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had to send his own persons, realized souls, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Prabhupada, to this world, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, to enlighten the jivas. What is what? What is the actual pure teaching of Mahaprabhu and what is not? So association of realized soul is necessary to be able to progress in devotion, transcendental real devotion to Krishna, not to increase our false ego in the name of spirituality. Then we will be deprived of eternal welfare. So how is it that Arjuna will kill so many people now in Kurukshetra, but he will not get any bad reaction for that? How is it? Because he will not do from false ego. And all others will be benefited. But if I do out of false ego and false desires, I will kill like Arjuna also did, so I can also do. Then I will get a different result. Or some are saying, Gopis, they are not following Ekadashi fasting. So why I will do? That is totally wrong also. Krishna is having so many wives, 16,108. He's a powerful man, okay. He may have that. But I should have at least 3, 4. If this thinking is there, then you did not understand anything. You did not understand that Krishna is the only enjoyer and master. So you are actually unable to understand Bhagavatam. Unable to understand. Because condition to understand Bhagavatam, this Sharanagati, which is given here in Gita, I did not get. I did not achieve. So I will mistake, or I will envy Krishna. Why he's having so much wives? Why he will take everything? I should also have some. this sort of thinking, if this wrong conception of Krishna and his devotees and what is going on, if someone has, he will be unable to understand Bhagavatam, Ras Leela, all these things. Unable, totally unable. He will mistake one for another. That is why preliminary study is Gita, to attain proper knowledge of who is Krishna and who are we, and what is false ego, what is real ego, what is eternal welfare, what is all this. But practically, not only theoretically, practically we have to submit. Then it will be possible to do devotion to Krishna. Without Sharanagati, there can be no devotion. That is the basis, like foundation of devotion. Unless you accept Krishna is the only enjoyer, how you will serve him for his satisfaction and understanding you are his eternal servant. If I have enjoying spirit, then how it will be possible to serve him? But of course, there is one is like totally in ignorance of his real self and he's just trying to exploit or renounce. That is total false ego. But when one gathers enough sukriti and attains sadhu sangha, proper sadhu sangha, and he becomes inclined and he can accept in his heart that Krishna is eternal master, we are all his servants, he can accept, his heart approves, and he is engaged in the service of Krishna by the Guru. At that time he is not fully free of all anarthas and ignorance and all this. But it is not his intention to do that. But not free because of previous bad habits and all these things. But he knows this is anartha. He does not mistake this anartha for something spiritual. So gradually, the more when he will be able to engage himself in the service of Krishna under the guidance of bona fide Guru, then he will also be able to give up anarthas, and gradually he will become fully pure. So that is progressive person who is properly situated, properly there, but not yet fully pure. It is totally different than one who is in total ignorance and with intention he is doing something. That is why we heard here in Gita also before, if you see some one-pointed devotee who accepted Krishna as only master and enjoyer, and he's worshipping only Krishna, understanding his supreme Lord. He's not worshipping any demigods, he's not doing karma, he's not doing jnana, he's not doing yoga. He accepted pure devotional process for the service of Krishna, he accepted. But due to past previous bad habits and actions and not fully released from all ignorance and everything, sometimes he may do something wrong. Still, Krishna says you should not criticize him because he will regret, he will repent, he will condemn himself, he will not support that as something good or as something spiritual. It is for the service of Krishna. He will not be such hypocrite. He will repent, and by that repentance that will be removed by Krishna. So Krishna said, you wait for some time, quickly he will become fully pure, because he is properly situated. So those who are sincere sadhakas, they may not be fully pure, but they are sincere sadhakas of pure devotional process. But there were and there are so many apasampradayas, they will not follow Rupa Goswami and pure acharjos, but they will concoct or invent some processes for enjoyment, but they will claim that is devotion. That will be wrong. and the result will not be eternal Krishna Prem. So Arjuna is killing, but he will not get bad reaction. He will kill on the order of Krishna from real ego. And it is also stated there in Bhagavatam, when Ras Lila is towards the end. Intentionally, Parikshit Maharaj is asking Shukadev Goswami about that. Then Shukadev Goswami says, if someone wants to imitate Krishna and the gopis, it will be cause of his destruction. Like, yes, if one is not a Shiva, but he tries to drink that poison which came when they were churning the milk ocean, demigods and demons, then first poison came. That poison was so strong, if even bird will only fly over it, he will die. Not even drinking, he will die. Everyone will die. But Shiva is not ordinary person. He is transcendental personality, pure devotee. So demigods, they went to Vishnu, what we should do. Vishnu said, you go to Mahadev. Vishnu is revealing them who is a real Vaishnava and the glory of a Vaishnava. So you go to Mahadev, he can help you. Then they went, and Shiva asked his wife what I should do. This is also Lila. What I should do. Devi, what I should do. Then Parvati said, you can digest everything. I have no doubt. She knows who is Shiva. Shiva is not ordinary. So Shiva then drank that, and that blue neck came out of that, and that is his ornament. Nilkanta, Shiva. But if I am not Shiva, I am not in that like Shiva, then if I will try to do this, I will be destroyed. Like that, if one wants to imitate Krishna and the gopis, but he is not Krishna, nor is he a gopi. Gopis, they have pure love for Krishna. If you try to do that, you will be destroyed. Means you will be more entangled in this material ignorance. You will not become a realized soul due to this. So this warning is there. Everything is there, but according to our capacity, we can understand. So it is not that I will, Srila Swami Maharaj said, it is not that I can become a gopi just by thinking, imagining myself that I am a gopi. You cannot attain like that. It is not possible. You cannot become a gopi like that. There is a process of how you can be released from this worldly false ego and how to realize your eternal relation with Krishna in service mood. Then you can realize that, not by mentally thinking, oh, now I am a gopi. Not possible. To come out from false ego, sarvapadavi nirmuktam, and realize tat paratan nirmalam, and then engaging all the senses in the service of Krishna is not so easy. It is a process, and it is a long process. Not in 1-2 days you will achieve. Jnanam geyam parigyata trivida karma chodana Karanam karma karteti trividah karma sangrahaha. Knowledge, knowable, and the knower, these three are the stimuli to action, while the instrumentality of the senses for doing, the deed, and the doer are the three basic instruments of action. For this, there is a very long explanation, so we will not start today. And tomorrow is Lalita Sakhi's appearance day, and day after tomorrow is Radharani's appearance day, so I think on Monday we can continue with this. But at this point we have to understand very carefully and also realize by engagement in practical devotional service, bona fide practical devotional service given by bona fide guru, to understand this point, what is false ego, what is real ego, and what is the target of someone who is acting from real ego, that is only satisfaction of Krishna, bona fide. And what is the target of one who is in false ego, to satisfy his own senses, gross and subtle. Not only gross, I want to eat, I want to touch, I want to live. There is also subtle enjoyment for name and fame, for getting respect, for so many subtle things are there also. They are also kama. Selfish. Not only gross, subtle ego is also there. And so many varieties of subtle enjoyment is there. Then there is pure, that spirit. That spirit will not have gross and subtle enjoying spirit, but no service attitude to Krishna unless we get association in the grace of pure devotee. Then we can realize who really we are. And from that real ego, I belong to Krishna, I am his. What action will come from that, it will be exclusively for the service of Krishna, and that will be beneficial for all. That is not selfish, that is universal interest. But what is what, and who is doing what, that we have to realize. Otherwise we may be cheated, or we may cheat ourselves. Yes, I'm doing for the service of Krishna. But if I do whimsically service of Krishna, not under the guidance of realized soul, and he will detect what I'm doing, and he will give some service, I will say, no, I don't want to do this. I want to do that. But that is for your enjoyment. So that is necessary. Bona fide, realized soul. Then you can progress in devotion, actually. So tomorrow we'll hear about Lalita Sakhi.